Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Here at TSA, we're all predominantly console gamers. We tend to favour our plastic boxes under the TV with their handy little ergonomic controllers. But there's a compelling case for keeping a serviceable PC gaming rig in your life too. And with the prospect of living room PCs bringing that aspect of gaming to a much wider audience in the not too distant future, it's good to have a handle on the best ways to control some of the most absorbing gameplay experiences available. Those only on PC. With this in mind, we jumped at the chance to take a look at one of the most important pieces of any PC gaming setup, the keyboard. This opportunity to look at this mechanical gaming keyboard was given to us by eBuyer, so we'll be quoting their prices and offering their links to the product in question when available. So what is the keyboard? Well, it's Asus's final piece in their Echelon gaming range. The range also includes a mouse and mousepad, as well as a gaming headset and a 7.1 sound card. Everything else in the range is covered in a slightly subdued blue-grey digital camouflage pattern, but this keyboard is spared that treatment, presented instead with a nice matte black, slightly rubberized coating over everything from wrist rest to key surface. Time will tell how this grippy coating holds up to months of future play sessions and greasy finger prodding. There is a possibility that it'll wear thin and go shiny, or even peel if it's subjected to the kind of abuse that these keyboards generally have to put up with. But after spending a little over a week with it, I can tell you that it is still as good as new, and every aspect of it still feels well finished. That's the very least you would expect from a keyboard which is currently priced at over £100 though, and I'd be very disappointed if it suffered from wear and tear a year or 2 years down the line. The keyboard's box announces it as the Echelon Mechanical Gaming Keyboard, but there are a few extra pieces of very important information there too. Firstly, that it's based on the Cherry MX Black switches. Those are the firmest of the Cherry MX switches, which are favoured by many mechanical keyboard manufacturers. And what that means is that each key has a nice firm action to it that should ensure against accidental key presses. They also have a fairly long throw, so you'll feel the 60 grams of pressure required to get each key pressed down before they return with a very satisfying rebound. The full anti-ghosting and NKRO systems are technical provisions that mean you'll be able to press as many keys at once as you need, without the keyboard missing any of them. That might initially seem superfluous if you're not used to PC gaming, but it basically means that you can walk forward, strafe, crouch and reload all at the same time without any issues, aside from the hand cramp you're flirting with by having so many fingers active at once. Those blue LEDs are another front-of-box selling point too. They have 4 levels of brightness, adjustable with the FN key in conjunction with numpad 2 and 8. I never found that I needed anything other than the very lowest setting, even wishing I could go slightly dimmer for nighttime play sessions in a very dark room. The brightest setting is actually quite distracting in most cases, with those blue LEDs really standing out from your peripheral vision, although blue LEDs do tend to be less stressful on your eyes than, say, the orange ones in my usual Logitech gaming keyboard. Like most higher-end keyboards these days, the Echelon comes with ports for your headset, speakers and mic, and a couple of USB ports too, although these are both powered via one USB plug, so they're okay for lower power peripherals, but you won't be able to power external hard disks or the like from them. It also has the standard volume and multimedia controls thanks to the FN key and the first 6 F keys. There are no profiles or other special features though, and the Echelon doesn't even come with bespoke controller software. It's solely a generic driver at work here. That means it does work just as well plugged into a Mac, or even a console like the PS4 or Xbox One, should that kind of functionality ever become more useful on the next gen consoles. The cabling is stiff but not unbendable, with leads to run the audio input and output, as well as a USB lead for the 2-port hub, and the PS2 lead with a USB adapter that makes the keyboard itself work. I've lived with the Echelon keyboard for over a week now, trying lots of different types of games with it, from Elite Dangerous to Half-Life and Gone Home, StarCraft to Company of Heroes 2, and even a couple of twitchy hard-as-nails platformers like Super Meat Boy. I've also used it for plenty of my usual Windows-based typing, including writing this script with it, and a few other office-based tasks like the regular heartbreaker perusing my personal finance spreadsheets. The Echelon is clearly meant for games though. Regular typing feels like it's a lot more effort than the MacBook Pro keyboard I'm used to for 95% of my typing. And even that little wrist rest doesn't do a great deal when all of your fingers are pressing down 40 or 50 words per minute on those stiff Cherry MX Black keys. For games, the stiffer keys and longer throw is a very good thing. You feel very definite in your key presses. Obviously this meant that twitchy gaming like Super Meat Boy requires a bit of dexterity, but the payoff is that you almost never strike the wrong key. For slower gameplay styles, it's perfect, and FPS play is probably the most satisfying, as you have that responsive surface beneath your fingers and it all feels very definite. Although I can hardly claim to need it, the stiff mechanism also means that the keys rebound faster. That's a boon for players of StarCraft and similar games that emphasise a high actions per minute count. The keyboard's solid construction is also worth noting. Although it's a little lighter than some of its competitors at 1.175 kilograms, not including the cable weight, that's just over 17.5 unfrosted chocolate cupcakes if you're interested, it is still weighty enough to make accidental slipping on your desktop an unlikely event. The no-fuss approach to key layout and spacing also means it's got a very conservative footprint. That's something that's increasingly important to PC gamers as they need to leave space for their HOTAS joysticks, speakers, multiple monitors and mouse pads, as well as potentially making way for the VR headset of the future. Overall, I think the Echelon is a great bit of kit for playing almost any type of game, but I wouldn't want it to be the only keyboard I have for typing out 1,000-word reviews. For someone like me who does most of their work on a MacBook Pro and only keeps a Windows PC for games, it's a perfect peripheral. Likewise for someone who doesn't need to type much. For those with more of a mixed use, it might be a bit more sensible to compromise and opt for a mechanical keyboard with slightly softer switches.